Hello and welcome to Coffee with Carey. Thank you for stopping by today. I'm all cozy in my warm sweater here today. It's a little chilly outside. That's what October does in the Chicago winters. If you are new here, I'm Carey. I live in the Chicago area, although I have matchmaking and date coaching clients all around the country. A lot of times it's dating advice as it is today. Sometimes it is makeup and or beauty, fashion, food, stuff you gotta do. This channel is for women like me in their 50s, but we have people from all different ages and genders that stop by to see what's new, and everyone is welcome. But if you're over 50, you should feel right at home here. This is dating advice today for my over 50 friends, and we're going to talk about the rules that we set for ourselves. My clients, they have come to me with a list of parameters, a list of rules they want me to work within these boundaries. And very often those rules get broken, and today we're going to have a little countdown of what the most common broken rules are and what that looks like. And you can think about whether these are rules you have and whether they are serving you well, or whether you should also break your own rules. If that's at all interesting, stick around, that's what's coming up. I feel like we should do this. There's 5 rules, and I feel like we should do this in reverse order. So it would be like, we will start with 5, and number 1 will be the rule that is broken most often. I feel that would be most fun. Education would be number 5. A lot of people have set rules or parameters and say they only want to meet someone who has a master's degree or an advanced degree, or I want to make sure they at least have a bachelor's degree, and they feel that this is important. And a lot of times it isn't all that important by the time you get to 50. People have worked their way through a life, arrived at this place, and perhaps they are very successful but did not do that by having a college degree. So I push people a little bit on that one, and very often people are breaking their own rules when it comes to specific educational requirements that they thought they had. Number 4, we have delved into this quite deeply within the last month or so, and that would be age. Those age parameters come in real hot and heavy. And I made a video recently, an episode about why men would choose younger women, and also why some men prefer older women or women their own age. And women and men both come in with very preconceived notions about the age of the people that they would like to meet. I ask them, what age people do you find in your life you are connecting with most deeply? Where do you feel that you are really finding that kinship, that connection with people in your own dating life without my date coaching, without my matchmaking skills? What does that typically look like for you? And people have numbers that pop right into their heads. They all know what their dating parameters are, probably because they've set them on the dating apps. But when I push just a tiny bit, I can get people to budge off of those by pointing out those numbers don't mean the same thing in 2020 that they perhaps even did 20 years ago, because we are not aging in the same way. Aging just isn't the same anymore. Yes, I used a man as an example because that was my most recent experience today, but that does not exclude women from this thinking that they need a particular age range of the men that they're willing to date. And I always say, let's set that as a loose guide, because as soon as you tell me 59, I'm gonna find somebody who's 60 who meets all your criteria, and you would never even know he was 60. So let's just kind of leave that case by case basis. And when we do that, that rule gets broken all the time. Number 3 is more often women, but very often it is men, saying that they would like to have somebody who, like themselves, had been married before. And we break this rule all the time, because I think the people who are requiring this previous marriage have the idea in their head that there may be somebody wrong with somebody who makes it to their later 40s into their 50s without having had that piece of paper before. But what you come to realize when you work with me, and I know so many people, that there are just a lot of guys who are in their 50s who for many different reasons, but a few I will give you here never did end up with that piece of paper. They were living with somebody for 15 years, or they even may have children with that person. They just never actually were married, or they came close to getting married a couple times in the past, but something happened. Somebody had to move for a job. So to think that somebody either suffers from the Peter Pan syndrome, never wanting to grow up, or that they are commitment phobic, or that they are undesirable to everybody else who encountered them to the age of 50 is just kind of wrong. There are a lot of examples of good, healthy people who are in their 50s and have never been married. And then with women, people think that she missed her window and now she must be desperate. No, no, no. She was busy building a career or just never found the right guy. Same stories, it's interchangeable, man or woman. One of the other things I would mention is that a lot of people think they need somebody who was married so that that person has had the experience of learning how to navigate a relationship, knows how to be married. Trust me, you don't have to be married to know how to be married. People get married all the time in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, having never been married, and they figure it out. Number 2 in the rules most often broken are children. A lot of things around children. I'm going to try to narrow this down. Sometimes it's they want somebody who does have children, or somebody who doesn't already have children, or they want the children to be of a certain age, or they want the children to be living in a particular place. I want somebody whose kids are already off to college, who has the flexibility and the freedom to travel and do fun stuff. Or it is, I would prefer to have somebody who never had children like I didn't. Or I never had children and I would love to have somebody who had kids and has grown kids so I can have the experience of being a grandparent. As many people as there are that many different stories I get with people having specific rules around the existence of children and the ages of children. And very often I find somebody a great match for someone, or I push somebody with date coaching just outside their boundaries, and they end up with somebody with a kid situation that was not part of their original plan. Also, I would want to point out that just because somebody didn't have children doesn't mean they don't understand what it means for you to have children, and they don't understand that your children are going to be a priority in your life. I know a lot of young women dating men who are a little older and completely get that the kids come first and that she's going to have to put their vacation plans on hold because there's something important that the kids have during that space of time. I have men who are dating women who have children and they never have, and they step very easily into a role of being a friend and support system to those kids. So if you have those rules, you might want to think outside that box too. And then that brings us to the 5th one, the number 1 rule that gets broken all the time, despite people telling me they have this rule. And I have to say, more often it is women giving me these rules, but very often it is men giving me parameters on the height of the people they want to date. There are men this week, I'm thinking I had numerous conversations where I'd say, oh, you're 6'1", so height isn't probably an issue. And he's like, oh yeah, I really like petite girls, like 5'1", 5'2". Another one said, yeah, I'm pretty tall. I only date women who are 5'4" or taller. Women, got a client 5'1", she wanted somebody over 6 feet. I'm like, please, I have a client who is 6 foot tall woman. I need those tall guys for her. But everybody has their preferences, and as soon as they say 5'9" is my cutoff, one way or the other, I'm gonna find somebody 5'8" or 5'10" who is amazing. Have to tell them that they need to expand their horizons, break their own rules, and meet this great person, because putting up walls and boundaries like that is not helping them to meet all the great potential matches that are out there for them. And this one in particular gets broken all the time, and it works out to their benefit that they are willing to compromise and be flexible and meet somebody outside what they think are their rules and their parameters around height. So I hope you found that interesting. Do you have rules that you abide by when you're choosing who to date? Are you willing to break those rules? Can only help. The more people we meet, the more likely we are to connect with somebody. I appreciate you stopping by for the conversation today. Fuzz. Oh, sweater weather. Sweater fuzz. And I look forward to seeing you next time. So hopefully you will subscribe, hit that ring bell so you're notified every time I upload a new episode. And until then, have a good one.